So this is the Excel sheet. I mentioned subtopics as well, but that might not be the full list of subtopics, but I'll try to cover while we are, doing this training part. So the first topic, the second topic is users and roles. Basically, what will happen is like whenever I'm touch basing some topics, right? I have to cover a lot of other things like which is part of function setup manager. So though I'll give you what is functional setup manager at high level on fourth day, but thing is most of the tasks except application composer and for the remaining tasks we need to use functional setup manager all the time. So that being said, don't think that I'm still not don't think actually I'm actually taking some things very forward on the function setup manager, because this is one tool where we would actually try to use most of the time, and this is another tool where we would actually try to use that most of the time. So as long as application is not extended and only configured, I keep on using this thing. So today also I'll try to use function setup manager while talking about the users and roles, because all the related tasks are actually lying at function setup manager. So that's it. Like so this is there for every day almost. Okay, so let's see what it is. So users and roles. So before we get into the system, so basically there are two types of users. One is admin basically, and then end users. These are the basic user types in this in Sales Cloud. And when it comes to roles, there are many roles, but primarily we use the following the roles. It's called sales administrator, and then sales representative, okay. I'll put comma here. I will not put into another because the mapping is all set. Sales manager and sales VP. That's it. So primarily, I mean, this list is just not the complete list of the roles, but primarily, I would say 95% of the time when you're implementing, you would only use these users, okay? And admin, and there is another type of user that we can call it, but most of the times we actually match that user with admin user. Rather, let me put this way. This is kind of super user, which will have extra role, which is like IT security manager. This is the role name basically. So just ignore this for now. And admin can also have, there is another role called application. Okay, so just limit to these roles. There are a hell lot of roles, and we will talk about them whenever necessary. Ideally, any company who is implementing Sales Cloud for them to run their operations, 95% of the users would use only these, these roles. There could be end users like field people, sales people. They go to the field and sell some products or services. So they are called end users basically. Admin is someone who would run the application. Let's say field is giving some feedback now. I'm facing some issue on my product. I don't see my product in my territory, etc. Then they would actually reach out to the admin basically. So admin is the one who would actually oversee the entire application for its functionality. And he could be like a developer, he could be like any domain expert, whoever is having hands-on experience on Sales Cloud basically. So who can sit and quickly fix the issues that are being reported by the field team or the users of the application. So that's how admin is defined. I already defined end user. Super user, somebody, so sometimes, like I said, I can match super user with admin, because super user is usually separated because this role is very, very important. Only if this role is there, one can create users and then assign roles. So without this role, creating a user, assigning roles is not possible. sometimes what they do, they don't give this privilege to admins because it's a money, right? If you are creating users, Oracle keep on charging them on the number of users that you create. So that's why they try to keep this one very tight. And if admin is entitled to give, and then he is like privileged enough to control the number of users, of course we can match these two users. So these are just concepts, okay? There's nothing like user type equals to admin, user type equals to end user, or user type equals super user in the application. But these are some kind of classifications that we can use by the number of roles that you can have. Okay, so one person, one user can have any number of roles. Okay, there should be at least one role so that he can see something in the application. So far, so good. Any confusion questions?
Srinivas, one question, but it's not related to licensing.
Mm-hmm.
You said as and when the user is created, we have to pay license to the to Oracle. I'm just wondering how does the licensing work in this case, Srinivas? And as soon as I create a role and assign one of these roles, as soon as I create a user and assign these roles, one sales license is consumed.
Okay, so here there is no restriction in Sales Cloud, unlike other Oracle products like CP Cloud is actually a different product where the licensing works differently. Though it's user based, but there is always a cap on the user. So if you buy 100 users, they will give you only 100 count. So as you keep on creating the users, the 100 becomes 99, 98, 9. So it will show you how many users left for you to create more users in the CP Cloud. That's one way of licensing. Okay, but in Sales Cloud, there is no cap here. So because you would go to Oracle and then you will write a contract with Oracle saying that initially I need, let's say, 50 users, and then they'll write a contract, and it's a document, right? They'll write, ABC company is buying Oracle Sales Cloud for 50 users. That's what they pay for it. But in the system, there's no limit for you to create users. You can create as many users that you want, but that's not really a fair business. Oracle may come down and then see that you are using more than what you actually purchased. And then once they audit, right, sometimes Oracle will go to some companies, audit their applications, how they are using it, right? And if they get caught, and then they're going to impose a lot of fine on them. So that's how it is on the Oracle Sales Cloud. The system would not really put any cap on the number of users, unlike in CP Cloud. So if you buy 100, the system would actually count for you. And 100 users are there, and you cannot create one user in CP Cloud. But here, there is no restriction by the application. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, you did. Just an addition to that. So assuming that, like you mentioned, I've signed a contract for 50 users. So even though Oracle does not restrict, assuming that I create only 50 users and assign one of these roles, okay, sales rep or sales manager, sales VP. Now I'm creating 51st user. So if I ended one user and create another one, so it still be considered as 50 only, right?
Yeah.
Okay. No, got it, Srinivas.
Perfect. So now, like I said, any user can have any number of roles, minimum one role. So these roles actually drive the functionality on the login. Let's say if I have sales representative, okay, I see some icons here: leads, opportunities, and accounts, contacts, and I can see all sales related icons here. Okay? That doesn't mean you see the entire data in the application. See, a number of users will be there, and there will be hierarchies, right? Basically, so this is how it is, hierarchy basically. I'll also talk about hierarchy because that's very much contextual. Sales rep is nothing but sales representative. Sales manager, I'm just putting acronyms there. Sales VP, and that's it. So usually any company, let's say companies will have hierarchies, right? and there will be managers for the front end salespeople, and there will be even more sales VPs on top of the sales managers. So if you this is the this is 0 level, the first level, second level. Assume there are only 2 levels. If they have even more levels, let's say third level is also there in the sales hierarchy. So this will go on. You can keep on adding sales VP role to any number of levels. Let's say fourth level is there. Okay. So the role assignment will be like this. People who are sitting at various. Okay. Basically, there is no difference between sales manager and sales VP when it comes to functionality. So alternatively, I can use also same sales manager, sales manager, sales manager, but there is a difference. So like this also I can actually skip sales VP role. I will simply put sales manager for any level. Hope you're following me, right? Just namesake, but when you are configuring the hierarchy in the system, it will actually give supervisory role at this level user. Despite the role is same, but it gives the whole control on his data. Let me take another example. Like let's say we have Alex, Brian, and let's say Chris, David. Okay, and there are 4 people basically. And let me take Alex and these 2 are sales reps, and then let's take a sales organization, very small sales organization. These are the sales reps. And let's say the boss of Alex and Aeon is Brian. Okay, he's a sales manager. Direct reporting. Alex and Aeon are directly reported to Brian. Brian reports to Chris. He can be a sales manager by the role assignment basically. And Chris reports to David basically. He could also be a sales manager. Or slash, no, I want to go by, typically what I'm trying to tell you, there's no difference between sales manager and sales VP, despite 2 different names are there. Those are just tags. Unless you put them in the hierarchy, then only that makes difference to the functionality. So if they are sitting standalone, if I create a user, Brian and Chris, so though Brian, in the application, if I am not putting any hierarchy between these 2 people, and Chris cannot see Brian's data despite he is actually a manager, because that's only on the paper, not in the application. When I'm putting them in the hierarchy, despite I have a role, doesn't matter, sales manager, I can still see the data of Brian, who is also sales manager by role, but the hierarchy actually decides whether I can see Brian's data or not. David can see whether he can see Chris' data or not. That's how it is. You follow me so far? It only hierarchy building will make a lot of difference to the functionality, particularly the data part of it. Any questions so far?
Yes, Srinivas. So basically, even though all 3 are sales managers, probably they belong to different sales organizations or sales groups, because of which they will not be able to see Alex and Eon's data.
Yeah. Only when I'm putting them in the hierarchy, the managers can see the subordinates data. That's it.
Got it.
And go by role. See, I create a user simply, and I'll assign simply, sales rep for, Alex, and I assign sales manager to Brian. Okay. And I'm not putting them in the hierarchy. Hierarchy building is not in the application. So despite he's a sales manager, doesn't make any difference to the data visibility. They simply act as like 2 independent users. So what I'm trying to say is, manager role, VP role cannot add more data visibility. It's just a tag. That's it. The basic functionality still remains same as long as they are the independent users. Independent in the sense they are not actually put in the hierarchy like who is the manager of which subordinate, etc.
Okay.
Okay. So that's how it is. So this is the concept of hierarchy. So let's first see that how to create a user, and what are some best practices of creating a user, and how to assign a role, and how to build hierarchy. So that's the agenda for. Let me take. This is my application.
Srinivas, you will be sharing us the instance details, right?
I will be sharing. Yes.
Okay. And this instance, does it get refreshed every week or it will stay for some time?
It will stay there. It will stay there.
Okay.
And now I logged in as super user. In fact, super user in the sense who has a IT security manager role, which will give you a privilege of creating any user, assigning roles particularly. So there are two ways of creating a user. At least there are two ways of navigating to the user's creation page. So this is the navigator, we call it. And then you scroll down, you will find my team. That's here you see, yeah. So my team is the folder name, and then you'll find users and roles. So this will come only if you have IT security manager role. That's what I was trying to say. If you have this one, only so yeah, let me take a step back. Everybody will get to see this one. Doesn't matter. They can get to see this, link or the task. Let me click on it. But only people who have this role can create that particular any particular user. So seeing the link doesn't mean that they can create it. So you will come to know whether they will be able to create or not only after landing on that page. You'll find a plus icon only when you have that role. And so if you don't have that role, you don't find a plus icon there. Since I have that the role assigned already, I will definitely see a plus icon so that I can create a user basically. My God, this is taking too long time.
Now the instance is slow, huh?
Yeah, this is not a production instance. That's why it is slow little bit. So now you see this is the area where you would land up when you create on the link users and roles. And if you want to search for the existing users, let me search with the user. You can find the users basically here. So it's always a good idea to search for the user, and only when you don't find it, then go for creation. So let me try to open existing user and talk about a couple of fields on the user, which are very important. So John Dunbar. Let me take one user.